The Therapist and the Coach podcast is a space for real relational conversations about what it means to be human.
In a world obsessed with fixing, achieving, and self help, we invite you to pause, lean in, and discover the wisdom already inside.
Together, we explore how healing, growth, and transformation can happen not in isolation, but in connection.
Through open hearted dialogue, we challenge the myth of self regulation and self improvement, offering instead co regulation, psychological safety, and the power of being seen. Hi, Lerae. It is good to be here with you.
Hi, Oren. It's good to be here with you too today.
And it's the first time that we are doing our podcast, which we thought about that would be so interesting. You are a very well-known coach and credited an international coach and excellent in what you're doing. And I'm a therapist, I'm a psychotherapist, and I'm working also with organizations and kids, with adults, speaking about all these kind of things. And I remember we started talking as if it would be really interesting to have a podcast about what it means to be a coach and what it means to be a therapist. I think so many people just kind of like sometimes want something and they just don't know exactly what to choose, or if they choose, there's kind of the last 10 years or maybe more. I mean, has been for a long time. I think you've been coach for how long, Larry?
Since 1998 is when I started my training and started coaching, and I really had a proper business model and business running by 1999. So
So what are we
September
talking about?
9th, I just
Yeah.
had my what is that, 20-year, 29-year anniversary? Yeah.
Yeah.
So just coaching was a baby industry then. It really in 1992, it was starting, came on the scene. I think it was 1995, the International Coach Federation was born, and and then we were just making it up really at the beginning there. So
Oh,
much
yeah, I
has
can imagine.
changed. Hmm.
What kind of people came to you at the beginning? I'm curious. Like what kind of like needs or it was kind of various. Was it had regards to mental health, with regards to problem at work or specific things to fix? I'm kind of curious.
There was the thread, if I look back at it, the thread was discontent in some form and or some form of stuckness. And the way I talk about that is people that had come to the end of all they know.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
and that took different forms, whether it was in a relationship, whether it was in their work life, whether it was in work-life balance. There was just a lack of joy, a lack of feeling connected, a lack of they were missing something,
Yeah.
and or were stuck somewhere. That seemed to be the
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And did they, when they approached you, when they came to you, did they come to for you just fix me, I need to fix you, kind of like, the tooth is hurting, I need to see the dentist right now.
That's interesting. Because I'm going back that many
Yeah.
years, and a lot of what I did for the first 10 years was education. So people came in with a curiosity. They came in with a need, which I've already identified as being this stuck, this I don't know place. I'm up against something, or I'm recognizing I'm bumping my head against the wall and I want to stop. I just realized it hurts. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and And there was, so the education over that first 10 years was really about identifying or telling people what coaching was. And because I had a counseling background, I actually thought, because my background was in child and family therapy, and that was not a good field for me for various reasons, which we might even talk about here. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And which is
Um,
so nice that you recognize something that you don't like and veered out from something else. So many people are just going like, because that's what I chose, I need to stay in. And that's
Yeah,
the
and
first thing.
it wasn't that I didn't like it, it was that I didn't feel it. I thought it was the thing, the way forward,
Yes.
and the training and the education and all the growth I had in that in my degree, it was profound and powerful. And I thought I was stepping into something that was really for me, and I'd found my niche. And then to find out that I hadn't was quite disillusioning. But then to discover coaching and find that there was this fit, because as a counselor, now this is just my experience as a counselor, I was listening to people and already in my mind, not that I had the answers, but I was in my mind saying, well, if you just did this, then this, like, why are you suffering? Stop suffering. And so I found myself very impatient, and then that leaked out into the type of questions or the type of energy I had. And I wasn't being of service to my clients. That's actually why I left, is that I had this feeling of misalignment, and I was too young and immature to really put words to it then. So that's
Yes.
when I just booked it to Greece, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, so I'm gonna go live in Greece. So,
Yeah.
so what about you?
Well,
As
this is so interesting that you're saying that because I had the same experience as a therapist, as a young therapist. I came from a very wounded family with a lot of abuse and
Yeah, me
neglect.
too.
It's going to
Mm,
be coming up in my book that I actually wrote about that not because I wanted to tell my story, but because I wanted to show people what it really means to heal.
mm, mm,
I took myself as a case example because it's easier to talk about me in terms of to share things with the world rather than with somebody else that they might want to share what they want to share. But so I wanted to show what happened from the beginning, where I started getting into the profession, which is similar to you. I kind of like I wanted to help people, and actually my need of helping people today, I know that. Okay, if you ask me there why you're studying psychology, clinical psychology, I will tell you I want to help the world, I want to save the world, I want to help. I really enjoy helping.
mhm.
Today I know it was part of my need, not from my need to help others rather than helping myself.
We give to the world that which we most need ourselves, apparently.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
so interesting. We have a perspective, you and I both. I started too. I just want to help people. And when I graduated the program in Pepperdine University, I then realized that as smart as I might be, not that I felt that at the time that I smart or didn't really
Mm,
that, but it didn't matter. Like I could know everything about what to do, but I can't do it. I'm just handicapped. I know what to do, but I can't fix it myself.
mm,
Then I realized that I need somebody else to get help because the system itself cannot really heal itself. It's like that's not how we work as human beings. If we get nurtured by our parents, really nurtured, not only to have parents, then we can grow and become and know what we want. But I guess both of us kind of like thought what we wanted for different reasons, and then I could not offer much for the beginning to people. I was licensed, all of that. I was kind of like wanted to fix things because of my own anxiety.
mm,
I
mm,
just couldn't really be with them because I couldn't really be with myself. So all I wanted is just to fix things.
mm.
And that was the last thing that they needed. Because, it's like basically I did this to them exactly what was done to them in a way, just
Yeah.
with professional hat,
Mm,
you
mm.
know? So
That's interesting.
yeah, so it's interesting that over the years when I went to therapy myself,
Hmm.
I start I realize that I'm just actually more spacious enough. I'm more solid enough to be there
Mm,
for others because I'm okay at that point of time. And
mm.
obviously it's not either or, it's a progression. We progressed over the years. I can imagine that the coaching that you are doing today is very
Well,
different than how you did it at the time at
well,
the
yeah,
time.
it's interesting because all through my education, I'm listening to you talk, and I sought out my first counselor when I was 21, and I thought it was career counseling, but it really ended up being actually realizing how I guess how no, don't want to say abnormal, because that's not, I don't think, the word I'm looking for, but how the reality that I experienced, I was just waking up to the fact that, wait, this wasn't everybody's reality. Like, what,
Yeah.
so that was a bit of an awakening for me. I'm like, oh, so that's why I keep spinning my wheels, or here, this is why I bump into this stuff, or this is why I behave this way and then retreat from the world, because I can't understand why I was just so mean to that person as, in my adult life and, just sort of outside of the safety of my childhood friendships and that kind of stuff. And I was like, why am I showing up this way? I just didn't understand. But all of that, the self-help journey that I started when I was 21, the I really bought into the idea of self-help. And maybe what we're talking about here is one of the similarities between coaching and therapy and or counseling, which is the relational aspect of it. Because as you're talking, I'm realizing that I had a similar experience. Yeah, it showed up differently, but I had this realization that I wanted to fix me. And so I sought help because I wasn't getting anywhere by myself. I was spinning my wheels and I was ending up in the same place all the time. And I'm like, why am I
Yes,
here
yes.
again? I thought the grass was
Yeah.
greener, but it isn't. So so that I guess is one of the similarities is this relationship. And as I've evolved and matured and grown in the field and continued to evolve myself, I've realized that becoming a coach or coach mastery, I don't really think there's a thing like it never ends either. The mastery
I
thing,
think with growing up as in therapy, it just
yeah,
never ends. It's not all of a sudden you become perfect and you're done. It's like
I know.
it's an ongoing evolution.
I was so bummed at my
Yeah.
MCC. I'm like, okay, I've arrived. I'm like, no, I
Yeah,
haven't.
no,
I've just started.
yeah.
But what I've discovered is very quickly as I moved through, there's three levels of certification as we know them today via the ICF, the International Coach Federation, ACC, PCC, MCC, Associate Certified Coach, Professional Certified Coach, and Master Certified Coach. And getting my MCC in 2006 and then realizing that, wait a minute, it's just begun. But looking back on that journey, I see that it was more than a skills. Yes, there was a skills component to it, understanding what coaching was, different from other professional conversations, really getting clarity around that was important because there is differences, I think.
Right.
I mean, maybe
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
something we can talk about too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But based on my perspective, there's differences in how we set up our conversations, and maybe they're not as different as I think. But um, it's a self-love journey more than a skills journey. Like the education only takes you so far as your credibility goes, but then you've got to
Absolutely.
realize that, wait a minute,
I second and third and
I'm a
fourth that.
credible human being and I don't need
Absolutely.
someone to tell me so. I have something to
Exactly.
offer that is of value. And that was actually where my greatest struggle was.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's just heartwarming because I think you say something so wise right now, whether we call it a coach, a therapist, a doctor for this, a doctor for that. At the end of the day, we're human and we're all about connection and love, you
Mm,
know? And so many times the experts are knowing better for the other ones, which is such a crime because
mm,
we're basically tell them you don't know. We're basically enhancing why they came from the beginning. If we could be trusted and other could be trusted, they will arrive to their own conclusion. We'll just allow that, you know, just like we want our kids to become who they are, not what who we are. I hope so.
mm, mm,
You know, to allow them to have their way, and if we help them to with what they need to get to where they need to rather than fix them to be something that they maybe thinks that they need because of emotional distress, like get me out of this misery, tell me what to do, tell me what to do, because it
mm,
comes from a lot of fear and
mm.
pain. Just people wants to be fixed because they suffer so much,
Right.
yet so many times we are kind of like veering to the left brain, so to speak, to do exactly what was done. It's all about to do, to do, to do. We're underneath that. We're starving and thirsty and not get what we really need, which is at the end of the day, just human connection and kindness and love. That kind of like goes all the way to everyone, I think, every profession.
It is, but it's hard to access that when
Yes.
one of the realizations that I've also had in my own development as well as working with others when I look at this, and also Brene Brown's social research. I don't know how much you know about that, but
Mm.
her research around social connection and how shame and I lean into her research because I'm not a researcher, like which is very much why I'm a coach, that and numbers. But no, also there's I love coaching, it's my thing. Um but the idea that shame is is where we disconnect and we disconnect in various ways. We leave either emotionally, mentally, or we create these justifications for behavior or self-deceptions around well, I did this because you did this, right? Blame is so prevalent, um,
Right, right.
as opposed to ownership. And it's hard. So there's so much that's creating and supporting disconnection from that love and kindness, but helping people access that within themselves for themselves, accepting that what I call it the secret self. The secret self is the self that we don't show anybody. The one that like, what if, I think they call it imposter syndrome, or some people say I feel like I'm a fraud, or
Right,
when they're out there
absolutely.
trying to do their life, whether they're a manager and they just got promoted and all of a sudden they feel like a newbie at whatever they're doing.
Yeah, it's
And
like
then
the little
they,
kid all of a sudden then wants to hide underneath the table.
yeah, so yeah, and so they revert to these behaviors that are not necessarily helpful and sometimes unevolved or immature, and they can't understand why they're getting resistance from others. But it's
Right.
all about their places of disconnection, and it's a long way to go if I don't have someone that I trust to mirror that kind of, if they don't understand that's what's going on, if they haven't done their
Absolutely.
own work. So I think another similarity that I'm hearing in the two of us between counseling and coaching is how important it is for the therapist or the coach or the helper to really be doing their own work and turning over all the rocks, like remaining curious about one's own growth in service of our clients. Because one of the things while you were talking that came to mind, can't quite remember what triggered this in my mind, was if I was somebody who hadn't realized that I need to be the expert. Oh, it was when you were talking about the expert.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Then then I will be unconsciously, like under the guise of
Back.
a coach, I'll be it'll leak out into how I'm being with the person, whether it's energetic, whether it's in how I tone, how I ask the question, or what questions I ask, or my questions box my client into a corner so then I can come to the rescue and say, "Oh, I recommend you do X." Oh, and then yeah, and there's attachment and stuff like that. So I mean, there's so much we could talk about here, and this is just our
There's so much we talk, and it is just the
so.
beginning of something that we'll talk very more because I think that what you just said is really the essence of really actually helping. It's like you can, Carl Rogers, the humanist, used to say,
Mhm.
like, you can't bring somebody to a place that you've never been before.
Mm,
And he was a humanistic psychologist. He was talking about
yeah.
like how can you, as much as you wish, like we are parents sometimes, some people, some audience are parents or becoming parents or being a kid. How can you give your kids something that you don't have? Let's say that it's not a wishful thinking. Of course, we want to give our kids the best we can, but the capability inside is a whole different story. And so if we were not healing ourselves, and that's not, then again, I want to make sure that the audience understands it's not like really like one time you're fixed or a couple of times that, okay, I'm done, I'm that. It's a progression. I've been in therapy for 25 years and still
Mm,
continuing,
me too.
evolving. And every
Mm,
time that I evolve, something is like an onion, something open up in a very different way that opened up from the beginning. But it is just a wonderful journey of just evolving, whether it's coaching, whether it's therapy, it's just being open, not to be fixed or something is wrong with you, but
mhm,
to evolve. And I think that just want to emphasize, and we will back to that in a different podcast probably,
mm,
of the really most important thing, regardless of the methodology that people are using, whether it's coaching, therapy. I know probably within the coaching, there's 10,000 people that are doing things very differently, just as much as
mhm,
therapies.
mhm,
There's not only like so many varieties of therapies, but also therapists bring to the
mhm,
table who they are. So I think that the bottom line for me in terms of that, which is so most important than anything else, is what can you give to others in order to help them? Is it possible? How can you be a good parent, so to speak, to your
mhm,
employees
mhm.
if you haven't experienced that yourself? You might learn from Lerae and Oren, or we probably won't do that way
Yeah.
because we're going to help them actually to be them, but to kind of do this, do this, do this, and then you are with all the injuries that you carried from the
Mm,
past. So your left brain understand that. all of that. You might be bright, many people bright and understanding that, but they just, the moment they need to show up, they want to go underneath the table
Mm.
because all the sum of their experiences up until now is that shame, as you said, and fear. And
Mhm.
so how can you tell? It's basically if we told them that, and that's I think something that we will discuss later on in
Yeah.
podcasts. And maybe the essence of us is just to basically allowing us as therapists and coaches and helpers, first of all, to be, because if we're not going to allow as much as we want and skill. We're
Mhm.
not going to allow them to be if we're not. We're going to be scared. If I'm going to be scared of an aspect of somebody that, oh my God, don't talk about that, or that just hits me without I know, I
Mhm.
won't be able to be there for them. I first of all have to protect myself. How
Yeah.
can I protect somebody else if, or to be for somebody else if I'm not safe?
But and what's interesting is sometimes what we're protecting is that which most needs to be healed.
Exactly.
The
That's exactly,
protection will
that's the
protect, that's the
paradox.
paradox. So we've got, I mean, it's another podcast. So let's go back to one of the things that's on my mind about this topic, and we actually might do a second segment on this. Let's see how we roll here in the
Yeah,
next few minutes. But what is the difference? And the reason I want to, because what we're coming at is all the similarities. The differences are important because of accessing the right support for you, not right based on any other, anyone else's terms. But what does that mean for someone? How can they decide if they need a therapist or if they need a coach? Is that a place we can go or?
absolutely. That will be the most important to go.
Mm.
I think thank you so much for bringing us back to the to the room with
Well,
what's the
there's so much
because
that.
we're started like there's so much that we can I know that we'll bring to others and to the table. And that's really absolutely okay. But I think you're absolutely right. We need to first of all understand what is then again what we started, what is coaching and what is therapy. And I want to start by saying this as much as there's therapy and there's coaching, but then again, I can imagine, Lerae, that there's different styles of, I don't know, that's why I'm so curious to hear you, but I will say about my area is that there are many different therapies, like different modalities. So, for example, if you're going to cognitive behavioral approach, which is an approach in psychology, there's cognitive behavioral, there's behavioral modification, there's psychodynamic, there's psychoanalysis, there's narrative
Transactional,
psychology, you
there's,
name
yeah.
it, all of them are branches of psychology or how to go about that.
Mhm.
And here is that it's not only different names, they're gearing into fixing something very different. So
Mm.
I think that it's probably would be important for us to, in your area, in my area, to first of all specify what is therapy. And because
Mhm.
therapy can be very different things to different people, depends on what they want. I'm, for example, early trauma therapist. I go inside the wound to the early times that really shaped who we are at the beginning of life, that becomes so solid, like a clay that you mold when we're kind of young, and it becomes so solid. And then again, we start protecting ourselves because we had deficiencies, we had abandonment, we had abuse, we had neglect. And we start putting the protections, the defenses, I call them protections because they actually protect us from being hurt. And then we, just like you and I at the beginning, couldn't trust probably anyone. And we started kind of, what can I do to heal myself and to help myself? Because nobody would be there to help us, not the people that were supposed to help me. So why would we trust that? But
Yes.
we stay underneath with the wounds that never heal. So, for example, when you talk about therapies, when I do early trauma therapies, and all of us have early trauma therapies,
Mhm.
and not therapists, early trauma.
Really
I
trauma,
wish we could have.
period. Yeah.
I wish we had all of us early trauma therapists because we're all traumatized in that way or another. I think people think that they hear trauma, it's like PTSD, it's like a car accident, it's like violent things.
Mm.
This is not early trauma. Early trauma happens to all of us because we live on Earth with parents that got wounded. It's a
It's part of
multi.
our human experience.
Exactly.
And somehow it's, even though it is collectively a shared experience, somehow, somewhere in our makeup or in our, what's the word? Our, like the handing down of culture or like the
The
way to be
epigenetic
human,
part of it. Yeah.
epidemiology or whatever that word is.
Epigenetic. Yeah.
Yeah, we somehow think we're the only one.
Yes,
And yet,
exactly.
and that what's some, that's why, some group work is really, really useful too. Sometimes is people can see, wait, what? I'm not the only
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. And at the end of the day, I mean, we are people, we know what we experience, pain and fear and all of that.
Mhm.
We have so much more in common than we think. We are the other one. If you
Mm,
try to go philosophically, we all made from the same energy.
mm.
And then there is a separation that we feel separated, but it's a lie. We're actually underneath that
It
all
is a
one.
lie. I
It's a
call it
lie.
a lie, and some people get really offended about that. That word is so strong, and I'm like, ooh, what's activating you about that? But
It's an illusion. It's an illusion. Let's put it this way. It's an
yeah.
illusion.
Okay. So in our last few minutes here, I think we've got maybe 5 more minutes. I actually haven't been keeping track of the time all that well because you're so
Thank you.
interesting.
Thank
Um,
you. I
but
appreciate that.
um, how do you see your clients? And I'm asking you that question because I'm wondering if there's a difference, because what we keep coming to are the similarities. So I will speak to, I'll answer that question first, if you don't mind.
Please.
Because
Yes.
I,
That will be easier for me to actually go and
oh,
understand
okay,
what it
good.
is, and then I will tell you.
All right.
Maybe we'll
So
find these similarities. I
I
don't know.
know, and
I'll try to create one.
okay.
We will get to this to the we'll get to the differences, I'm sure. But it's all kind of important, I think, content to know a little bit about. Then again, we will continue, I think, this conversation. We won't end up there today. The differences within the area, because it's not
Yeah.
one. It's not like coaching and therapy, because within the coaching industry, I can imagine there's different people doing different things. And
But there
with
is a point of understanding of what it is. So
Yes,
here is the accepted current ICF definition. I haven't memorized it, but the
yes, yes.
International Coaching Federation defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential.
Interesting.
And then it goes on. This definition highlights the collaborative nature of coaching, emphasizing a process designed to spark inspiration and unlock clients' inherent capabilities to help them become their best selves. So that is the accepted definition from one place. I could probably go multiple places, but given that this is one of the and the most prevalent and longest standing organization of governance for the emerging profession. I'm saying emerging because we're still figuring it out. Um, Coaching for me and how I've seen my clients is, and this is the difference for counseling and me, from my understanding of it. And again, I was a counselor when I was really immature, young. I was 25, and I admit I was immature, and the world seemed like one big problem that I couldn't face. So again, that's why I booked it to another country. But I I see, and when I'm educating coaches and or mentoring coaches, one of the things I share and is widely shared is we see our clients as whole, resourceful, having capacity in each moment, endlessly and creative. So that how I see my clients to me is the start of coaching, which is why I'm asking you that question. Because if I saw my clients as having a wound, for example, I'd be looking for the wound. So I see my clients as whole, resourceful, having capacity, and fully capable in each moment. That's not assuming that they don't have trauma, that they might have trauma, but that I'm taking them from the present and seeing them in that way. And then as we talk, as we learn about each other, as they work towards whatever goals they set for themselves, whatever needs to emerge emerges. And sometimes just by having that witnessed by another, so we touched on how profound it is to be witnessed and why self-help is a misnomer. You actually need the relational aspect of healing to really let go of something. Or that's an aspect of letting go, let's say. So that can be really profound to be seen, heard, and loved anyway. And that is healing in itself and can remove a block that helps somebody move forward. So in short, I see my clients as whole, resourceful, having capacity, and endlessly creative. And I see them coming in as not being needing to be fixed, as whole people, and what needs or is ready to be like, or as a barrier to them expressing that wholeness will emerge organically and naturally.
Makes
Period.
sense. Yeah. May I ask some elaborating questions?
Maybe. Yeah.
I'll be easy. There's nothing there. Uh, what seems to me, and I just want to see if I understand correctly, what you do, or the coaching, is more like in the here and now, is concentrating on the here and now in the present moment, while you know that the past has an effect, but you're moving from you're staying in the here and now, what they are right now, and then see how you can, or see what the barriers are to that place. Are the barriers external, or are you looking at the barriers internal?
I'm looking at what shows up as a barrier from the client's perspective.
I see.
I'm not assessing. So this is another difference maybe between coaching and consulting, and that's how we structure our conversations and the relational agreements. So if someone comes to me for 15 coaching sessions or for 3 months or whatever it is,
Yeah.
we have an overarching goal that they're working towards. And we get very clear about that, measures of success, la 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 la. We can be as smart about those goals as we want or not. It depends on what the client is into and how they perceive their goals and what's useful to them. And then we get to work in each session also has an agreement. And it's not that I define or they define what the topic of the coaching is. Then we create an agreement around that. Okay, so how will you know we've achieved success? What is it that you want to attain? And how is that related to this goal over here? So that is a really, really important aspect and distinction, I think, between the coaching as a professional conversation and other mentoring, teaching, perhaps therapy. Again, you'll let me know. And so we're present forward. Of course, the past comes into play, and yet it is there to be healed and removed. And I would say in the years I've coached, I've had under 10, but I have had 10 clients that I have asked to pause their coaching because what has emerged is that the block keeps coming up, keeps coming up,
Yeah.
keeps coming
Yeah.
up, and they can't get past it.
Yeah.
And and then that's when I will refer. So that's another conversation is
Was wonderful. I think you just really kind of nailed it right now to explain what coaching is. And and
okay,
and that's how different it is from my way of doing therapies, because
okay.
that's where something that we want to then again keep the conversation. We have to realize that you and I also doing things with our domain in maybe different ways than other coaches and
Yes.
other therapists do. So it's, I think, important to, and I heard it very clear and loud. I have a better understanding right now
Oh, great.
what a coaching is, that
Great.
is the
Yay.
way you do. So I
At
can
least one
imagine that
person does.
you did a great job of explaining that.
Yeah.
So it's very much goal oriented. And as you said, goal oriented at what they wanted to achieve, but
I
it's,
like to use the word desired outcome because language is so important.
yeah,
So some people have a lot of activation around the word goal or so desired outcome at this point in time seems to be the language that seems to land as more
desired outcome it
open
is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and yeah, and not
Desired outcome it is.
okay. Just to clarify.
Solved.
Yeah.
Solved.
So part of how I got there was yeah, okay, I prepped a little by printing off the International Federation. I don't know if there's a really clearly accepted definition of therapy that you can offer at this time or maybe in another conversation, or if it's more beneficial to start with how do you see your clients? Um,
So yeah, right. So I will do what you did the next time that we talk in the second podcast, because we'll have a little bit more time to elaborate. So how, because there's similarities in what we're doing, but then it becomes actually the way you picked it up. You did you and what you could do in your, or what you or your skills, and that to get them
or
from
the
this
framework. It's the
more
framework
the
of
framework, and
Mhm.
I step in from that part, and that's why you referred when you saw somebody that actually
Mhm.
dealing with some patterns, and many times that's the case. um, then again, you won't reach anywhere because they're not capable. So, but let me go back. I'll say more about that maybe probably next time. But let
Okay.
me answer your question. How do I see my clients? When I'm personally, so in psychology,
Mm.
there's the DSM, this is the diagnostic tool. You have this, you have depression, you have, all these
Yes.
labels.
Okay.
I don't do that.
Okay.
When I see somebody first, I see people as people. I
Okay.
see all of us as wounded. So I don't look, for example, when I say, I don't call my clients patients because they're not. If they're patients, all of us are patients. And I don't like to put anybody in the place that you're sick, you need to heal. Or
Mm.
let me see what's wrong with you. I
Mm.
don't approach that at any time, whether I'm in therapeutic setting or not. And I do not diagnose. I do that in my head anyway, but not because, oh, he's this or she's like that or that. It's like because it helps me to understand, and that's make me different than the layperson, so to speak, that
Yes.
see things and they don't even know that they see. So that allows me to actually understand more the person.
Mm.
But in a way of seeing them, I just want to get to know them.
Mm.
I want to get to know the person and to see who they are and what they can tell me about them. I don't know anything. I don't have any agenda of what they want to fix or not. Usually people come to me, but they're not happy about one something in another. And I can get that from the
Mm.
conversation. It's not that hard. They would tell me, or I could see that. Sometimes they're aware of what's really bothering them. Sometimes they're aware of something that bothered them that is not really what's actually happening underneath. So I try, first of all, to assess, to see the person. How do I see that? I see them as people. I don't see them as six or try to find anything wrong with them.
Mm.
I just let them be and see what they kind of they need. Now, so many times, let's say that somebody came to me with the alcohol problem,
Mhm.
fix the alcohol, I drink too much. There's the AA kind of meetings, that tells you like, people say, oh, go to AA, you'll stop drinking and all that. They do that. I won't do that. I go underneath. For me, the alcohol is not the problem. It's
It's
the
the symptom.
problem that navigated from something much rooted inside, which is might be similar to what you do. It's like if you want to get to somewhere of that they want to get into somewhere, but they're limited inside with who they are because of the wounds, that's where I get to the picture.
Mm-hmm.
So what they want and how they want to achieve things might be very different than sometimes what I assess. And it's not because it's my agenda. It's because they might be, it's like, I don't know, my son could have like 3 years old, wanted to eat ice cream because he really wanted, and it just, it's so tasty. And I love that. It could be, I would love to be under, the machine, like the DQ machine.
Yeah.
But it's not good for you. As a parent, we know that. They don't need that. That's why it's important for us to be, as parents, more experienced and more that to know that maybe the kid is screaming right now and that's what they think they need, but actually underneath that, they might be cranky and need to sleep. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's down the road. That's how and so try to identify not what I need from them, but what
Mm-hmm.
they need, really actually need, and talk to them about that. But I do see them, to your question, I see them as kind of what say tabula rasa. It's like it's in Latin, it's like clean slate. I just want to
Yeah, I was gonna ask you from my counseling days, I was trying to think of the school of thought that sees people as blank slates. Was that not Piaget, but who was the it doesn't really matter. But
yeah,
there's an idea in psychology of that blank slate. I do, yeah. That's how I come in as well. So again, another similarity, and yet the just to name the difference, there, if I can really simplify it, and please correct me if I'm oversimplifying and not doing this definition any justice or this distinction, I guess, is probably because I think it's distinctions more than similarities and differences. It sounds
yes,
like distinctions
yes,
definitely between you and I. And
yes,
maybe on a podcast, we can have other people's perspectives. We can bring more people in and talk about this because right now we just
absolutely,
have our two, and
yes,
we're such kindred spirits that perhaps that's like kind of boring because we do align on so many different beliefs in the way we see the world. So, um, what was I going to say? Oh, the distinction
distinctions,
is this, um, we both meet our clients in the present, and we both are curious and interested in our clients. My curiosity and my commitment to the coaching ethics and practice and best practices is to identify what is it that you're here to gain? What is it that you care to achieve? What outcome do you imagine for yourself? What is the pain point that brought you here? And then what do you want to, what do you imagine? And sometimes that in itself is a number of coaching conversations because it's hard for people to identify that. Um, you see people, take them in as whole and see them as people and are have the same genuine interest and curiosity and care and are unearthing based on what it is that they want to heal, identifying or assessing what the wound is that's emerging. So it's like
So,
a zero, like if I'm looking at a continuum,
so
there's like that 0 point and there's that, and I don't want to even put negative because I don't want to put any,
two sides, the two
it's
sides of,
all useful. There's just two
yeah,
sides of that midpoint
yes,
on a continuum of
yes,
growth.
and yes, yes, yes.
And
And
this
the
is present. Hmm.
yes, like I start with the present and I end with the present. But the difference is, I think, is that sometimes people want to say, okay, help me, get me out of this pain. Then the goal, let's be not to be in pain. It might be, get me out of relationship problems. The goal, let's say, would be to fix the relationship. I love my wife like me, we cannot get along, fix us. It's about communication. So
Mm.
many times they think it's about communication,
And it's about something else.
where it's most of the time it's something else.
Almost always it's about something.
Almost always. And that's kind of a question that I wanted to ask you. We'll continue that some other time. Is
Yeah.
that does it happen so many times that they think
Oh,
that's
always.
what they go
99.9% of the
99%.
time in my
And that's
own coaching too. When I go to my
yes.
coach and I
Yeah.
say, "Oh, I want to talk about how to scale this aspect of my business,"
Yes.
and next thing we're talking about, the challenges that I'm having in my marriage.
Exactly. And that's probably what needs to be attended in order
Yes,
to that, so
yes,
I'm attending to that. I'm attending to whatever needs to come to the present. But so many times it's and so they think that they need the future because they're
yes,
suffering, or the
yes,
present and the future. They're suffering because of what they think that manifested
yes.
problem. It's like, and actually, it's something. Usually, it's really not about that. If you're safe to communicate, you will communicate, and usually, not actually. Let me say it. Always, there is a
Mm,
communication. That
mm,
just people don't see that as communication. If a kid sits like that or somebody sits up, this is communication. They
mm,
communicate something. They're just the other part is not listening. So, and why they're not listening is because something they're just maybe keeping them just trying to survive the moment, so they can't really. So it's usually that's where I'm going to. In order to fix something here,
mm,
I go with the here and now with what's happening, but I'm going to the then and there because it does come to the here and now. It's timeless. Unless it's attended, this wound that happened a long time ago comes to the present, and
mm,
they say it with the manifested problem. It's just like so many times as people comes with with kids that are acting
mm,
out, and they are the problem. They're identified patients, so to speak, as we call
mhm,
them.
mhm.
Usually it's just the kid that actually brings out all the mess that is happening in the family.
They're just mirroring the system, the
And everybody wants to fix the kid. The parents would do
yeah.
anything to fix the kids rather than go themselves to therapy
Yeah,
in order to be
that's
better
human
parents.
nature too. That's the
Yes,
deflection
yes,
and self-deception and the like
yes,
that like,
yes, yes.
beacon for the fix out there. Okay, well, interesting.
Yes, it
We
is,
didn't
isn't
know
it?
what was going to happen here in our
But it's just fantastic. There's so much more to say about that. I know
yeah,
that I'm so curious to hear you. But I think that as we start talking, we start seeing also the differences. That
yeah.
I'm coming more from a place of healing the wounds in order to enable them for you to work with. For
Absolutely.
somebody like for a coach, you have to work with some people that are to this figure this way or not capable.
Yeah.
And if they're not, and something is nagging them very much from the past that come to the present, that's
Yeah.
where I'm kicking in.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It is.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This was a
Thank
lovely
you, and thank you.
conversation.
It was lovely. It was lovely, and I think that you just like I feel both of us have so much more to say,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good that we've got our next recording time scheduled for next week so
Yes,
we can
yes,
carry on.
exactly, exactly,
So,
exactly.
fantastic, Oren. Well, thank you so much and
And thank you, Lorraine.
wishing
Thank
you
you.
a wonderful day. Be
The
well.
same here. Thank you so much. And I will see you soon. And I can't wait to have way more of that.
I know.
I really knew and I think people would benefit from that because they will understand the different sides of things and why we're doing things and what to do. And just to kind of hear us, I think from our experiences, would benefit people.
Well, and knowing your heart, Oren, and mine, and one of the reasons we're doing this is like, wouldn't it be great if someone is listening to this and goes and can identify more easily what they need? And yes,
Exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
in the same way that there's a bunch of different coaches or there's a bunch of different therapists, just to have this sense of,
Sense of,
are these
right.
childhood wounds that I'm ready to dive into? Like, do I have something that's so activated I need it addressed immediately? Or am I coming more in from a place of, these are niggling things that are bugging me, but I really want to just move forward because the moving forward aspect of things was always my pull, and it's why I had a hard time in counseling. And it's why I actually, I'm going to be honest, was really judgy of my clients, which is part of
Yeah, yeah,
what the
yeah.
misalignment. I felt bad
Yes. And
because
that
I
happened to
was
me too from the beginning. At the beginning, I can because we
interesting.
came from the places that we constantly need to do. Nobody was there with us. So we
Mm,
couldn't really have the privilege of grow with content and the way it is. We were ourselves, by ourselves, even with other people that
mm,
were supposed to take care of us,
yeah,
just to be in ourselves. So why would we trust anybody else? And just we
yeah,
want to move forward because being I don't
yeah.
know. I just want to move forward because being it take
Well,
us back to the wound of being so alone and terrified being by that. So there is a pool obviously to fix.
okay. Well, I just have to add my two bits worth there to of my honest what is it? Transparency.
Trust. Yeah.
I actually now see and know that I needed my clients to move forward because that's how I knew I was being of value. It was all about me.
Yes, and the same thing with me over the years. I gave to people who I am was inside. If I didn't trust
Yeah.
anyone, I would get
Yeah.
in fear that I don't help, I'm not helping. My anxiety would permeate to them. I'll try to tell them something that they thought that they needed to hear. So they're
Yes.
also not leaving me,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
and
you're so
and and
brilliant.
and they push me to tell them what they need, and that's not
Yeah.
what they needed. It's just like, give me help me right now, and I know that I want to help you. I want to be with you. That's what you really need, not to fix. I'm not smarter than you.
Yeah.
I don't know better than you. I want to help you to reach you, and they don't feel that at that point of time because they never had that.
Yeah.
So it's just one thing with a lot of pressure to create the same thing that we had.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important. Now, if somebody is just really pushing me, it's not fun, but I know it doesn't belong to me and I'm okay. So I can hold them with that,
Mm.
and be with them and allow them to be exactly how they are. Because that's what they need. They need somebody there with them right now, not to fix them.
Absolutely.
And that's yeah,
Absolutely.
we will keep talking. I
All
know
right. Well,
we
I
can
love
talk
your
10 hours.
passion and I love how you wrap this up for us today. So be well, create a great day, and I'll see you soon.
The same here to you. A lot of love.
I love
Bye
to you
bye.
too. Bye.